Theranos was the revolutionary blood testing company that could only take one small drop of blood and test for hundreds of diseases. Founded by Elizabeth Holmes and her now ex-boyfriend Sunny Balwani, they proved to be the most affordable blood tests out there.
Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani had kept their relationship private rather than discussing it with the world. They kept it from investors too, which could bring up a very important topic in their trial.
Holmes was winning many different awards and being liked very much by society. No one had expected Theranos to be a fraud. They were running supposedly smoothly. They had even partnered with Walgreens to bring the Edison, their blood testing machine, to more people. Theranos was valued at $9 billion as of 2014. Holmes' company was later brought down and demolished by Tyler Schultz and Erica Chung.
Schultz and Chung were given entry-level positions as lab techs. They had slowly found out that the company they were working for was a fraud. The two had written an email to the editor at the Washington Post, John Carey Ruth. He had worked with them to bring Theranos down. They were successful in their actions.
What is wrong with modern medicine?
People don't even know that they have a basic human right to be able to get access to information about themselves and their own bodies that can change their lives. Every person should have the ability to get that type of test, because if you understand that early that you're at risk, there's a lot more that you can do about it. And we'd like to see a world in which every person gets access to this type of basic testing, and the types of tests that are done are ones that provide insight into the onset of disease in time to do something about it.
I've always followed a challenge, and I think the reason I got into engineering was because I looked at it and I said, that looks hard. That's a challenge, so I'm gonna do it.
Everybody can do this. I'm just a scientist who happens to be a woman.
Usually my daughter asks me, what do you do? I can tell her exactly what I do. It inspires her too.
It's so empowering and powerful to be a part of a company created by a woman who is so incredibly intelligent and also nurturing. And I think that's the role model that we need. We need more of these role models for young women.
To see a woman leading such a strong company and leading with these huge ideas and doing so in a very technical manner, and how much that does inspire other young women to want to pursue these not only technical dreams, but to not be afraid to dream really big.
I think it's definitely on the trajectory to be just as much a career for women as it is for men.
You know, people talk about glass ceilings. I always say that next to every glass ceiling there's an iron lady.
Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford at age 19 to founded Theranos. They were a small blood startup in Palo Alto. Holmes was just a normal person running a small biotech startup. Their first prototype was called the Theranos 1.0. It was very basic but could do many things at once. The lab developers had been trying to get the machine to read the blood tests, but it would refuse to. In certain ways, like the disc or card, it would be crushed, or it would simply just eject it after many tries. After many developments and improvements, they had a working prototype, but only for once.
Holmes was overjoyed. She had called out to the investors saying, "We have a working prototype. We're ready to do the demo." Theranos teams were flown out to Switzerland for their demo. They had tested the prototype and gotten inaccurate results. Holmes had an idea. They would fake the demo. They could take the old reading and use it again. This was proved to be very successful. This wasn't the first or last time the company was going to lie.
After they faked the demo, Theranos took off and Elizabeth Holmes took off with it. Around the time of the Ebola epidemic, Theranos was willing to work with the CDC to help find a quicker test that you would take when traveling back from an infected country. They had not been properly equipped and had not been trained in many ways. They had an insanely messy biotech lab, and what I mean by this is that they didn't clean up their blood. There was everything from blood splattered on the walls, blood samples were just plainly laying out uncapped and spilled. Many biochemists were skeptical of doing the Ebola test. They were very not prepared and did not have the right protection, from hazmat suits to emergency showers. More heavy-duty locks and protection, and more heavy-duty locks and protection around the labs, so that the virus would not be able to float around their company.
Theranos created a separate lab where they tested the Ebola tests. Lab techs would have to travel from the Palo Alto headquarters to the lab in San Francisco. This was not some right around the corner drive. It was a very lengthy drive.
Holmes' trial was held August 31st of 2021. She was sentenced to 20 years in jail due to 9 accounts of wire fraud and 2 accounts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. A 10th account of wire fraud was added recently.
Many outlets and sources, such as the New York Times and the Washington Post, believe she will have good behavior because she has no previous criminal record. They think she will be out in 10 years and will be sentenced to house arrest for the rest of her sentence.